Hello and welcome back. We are here with turn 44, and the worst case scenario happened regarding our kind of limit test. I said it was a limit test when we locked in the turn last time, trying to throw 3 gentles into that throne battle. And here's the outcome. And after this, it's feeling pretty bad. So, this is, if we count the gems worth of stuff, 10, 20, 25, 30. Now, of course, we got discounts on these, but our discounts are using mage turns specifically to acquire these, so it's not exactly a free discount, but 30, 35, 45. And then here we have 15 here. So that's 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, and then 105, 115, 120, 125, 130, 135 total gems worth of items, 3 capital recruitment turns. That's what we have here, and 1,500 gold. And this is probably like 70% of our power within this kind of region. And okay, we get jumped by the guys, and unfortunately we just take way too much damage. In our previous test, we really didn't take that much damage, but we also didn't have that much surface area kind of exposed towards this. And I thought that maybe we could live it, but we couldn't here. And some of our spells are going off, not all of our spells are going off, and this is an issue. We get some of these guys down, but every single one of our gentles dies, and unfortunately, one of the ones without flying is the last one standing. So I figured, okay, we probably get 1 to 2. If things go wrong, we probably get 2 gentles out. Worst case scenario, like 1, or like catastrophic failure. This guy is the last one to die, and he's surrounded, and we don't get anything out. Shout out to Loud Car outside. So. Oh, that's interesting. Zeus summoned a bunch of air elementals, too. I didn't even notice that before. I mean, I guess he's got the stuff for it. But it's really bad. It's really bad. It's feeling bad. Now, I don't think that we're, like, gonna get run over by Xibalba as a consequence of that. But that means that our potential push that we had just kind of liquefies, and it's just nothing. We don't really have much doing here. We descended down from the abyss and left 1 guy there. I imagine next turn the 210 is going to come in here, although we could be cheeky and like zigzag back onto it. I think what we're going to do is just wait for a power spike or let him come to us. This is his power, this is his lever, and we see Therados renewing hostilities kind of and attacking Xibalba again. We would prefer to let Therados handle the big stack instead of us handling the big stack. So this is the inverse of what we kind of want, where Therados just gets a free pick off of the back of us maybe having to fight a little. Although we haven't really fought that much. But we're trying to avoid his power and fight towards his weakness. And so he moved troops from Mighty Pillars to Forest of Idun. This is where the most of his power is. So we have this force down here. We're going to be content to, on a strategic level, just leave it here. We're building a lab so that we could use this force kind of usefully. And we can keep pinging the abyss coming up. And so if he's not patrolling with his entire mage corps, he's going to have issues. If he wants to try and push us, he can do that. And he might try and do that. But if he pushes here, then he's weakened down here. And if he tries to push here, then he'll probably weaken himself up here. This is kind of like the idea for what we have going on with Xibalba. But also, we see some other battles here. Let's kind of go through the Xibalba battles a little bit here, where we have this battle with Amarod. Kind of uneventful. We just take out some province defense, take a couple casualties. And then we have this battle, which is kind of much the same thing, except we know what we're doing, we don't know what he's doing, and so we get a little bit more information. Actually, kind of a lot of information here. A lot of information in the sense that we are going to be seeing what he's doing with his script, and we see what mages he has. His mages are stealthy, so it's not necessarily easy for us to see otherwise, but we do see, wow, even with the stealth boost item there, we do see his mages, and we see that they're carrying a ton of gems. So already looks a little bit stronger, but they're carrying a ton of gems. Also, they're not spread out. So I think that this mage came from a place where he maybe was site searching and didn't have access to the gems, and they'll move over gems. And then these guys came from a place with a lab, something like this, and they united, and so now he has 3 mages. We get to see a little bit of their script, but I don't think he's planning on using 6 gems in one battle. So I think he's planning on using this over the course of several battles. And so we kind of also know that there's maybe not a stealthy guy just carrying gems with them, like a Batab, which is comforting to some degree. It's also worth noting that this battle, before we kind of get into it a little bit, this battle was where our stack was. So he has seen our stack, and he has determined he thinks that his stack beats our stack. I was not of that opinion going into it. We have slightly fewer guys, but I think we have higher quality troops. And we see what troops he has. He has some Sun Guides. There are 20 Sun Guides. These are fine enough troops. But a majority of his forces are these Xibalba Scorpions, which we're not that frightened of, just generally. It'll do a lot of damage if it hits, if it connects. But okay, viewing this battle, we see that he has at least Enchantment 5, though, because he's casting Horde of Skeletons. And he's spamming Horde of Skeletons. We see a couple blessings come through, and then an attack rear. So he is going to be at least mildly soft to Storm as a strategy, because we will be able to Storm before he can attack rear with his Sun Guides. And that's maybe something we want to prep for. We also see Gift of Giant Strength. We see a few Fireballs. Gift of Giant Strength is interesting. It implies to me that he has a script that is now over. Or he didn't script it. Because you would want to script that before they could fly off. But, okay, we don't get to see that much. I think what we're actually even going to do here is we are moving some guys over. Actually, no, there's plenty of gems here. We're moving this guy over to the Packwoods. And so I think that he's going to go for Goal Armad. We're going to trust him a little bit when he kind of tells us that he thinks he wins this. He does have mages. He will be spamming Horde of Skeletons and this type of thing. So maybe he does win it. So we're going to go in on Packwoods. I think that he doesn't dive Packwoods. It's possible that he does. But that's kind of a little bit of an uncomfortable thing. Actually, why don't we have this guy come this way instead of patrolling Packwoods, because we don't actively want them involved in a fight, because these guys will attrition and cause the entire army to rout. But, actually, let's come back here and look to patrol later. But what we're going to do is we're going to fall back to Packwoods. Diving in and not going for the Force after just going right for the Force seems a little bit strange to me. Maybe he does it. I think it'd be worse for us if he does it. But I think that he might be trying to track down and catch the army. I learned how movement worked a little bit better the other day, where if he moves on us and we move to Fukan, he can catch us mid-move. Because you move in half steps at a time, and then it rolls a chance for having a battle, and then it does the second half of the step. So, I think he just wants to wipe out our army, and he thinks he could do it. So we're going to come to Packwoods. Expect him to go to Golem Rod. But we have, like, another, was it close to 100 guys? Or another 80 or so guys? These guys are going to be in Palmeria next turn. The following turn, they'll be in Packwoods. We're also, from here, moving on over a few wizards. Not a ton of guys. I think we had one more mage. We have a mage here. We'll script this guy a little bit differently. We have him in searching here. And the priests are going to be useful because they will be able to deal with the skeletons. I could have sworn we had another coming in, but I guess not. But these two are going to be coming in, and they're coming in with a gem to do an elemental, and we have the scout with a bunch of extra gems to feed these guys. Actually, this guy doesn't need a gem because we have the water lens, which we forged for one singular water gem, but this was expensive to forge so that we would get the extra water magic level. But they're going to be coming in. She's going to be casting Summon Water Elemental, Personal Iron Skin. I don't think we saw... Oh, they do have air magic. We could cast Stone Skin instead. Huh. I think that we'll cast Stone Skin instead. Because, we don't want to... Ooh, we cannot... Oh, wait, Personal Stone Skin. There we go. But she's going to come in, and then she's going to cast Bone Melter a couple times. That's a one-shot spell. That's crazy. But this will target things that are larger. And in particular, we're thinking these scorpions, this is kind of a good way to get rid of them. They are very spooky. These things are lean and mean. So maybe he does just beat us. And maybe he does go in on Packwoods, and maybe this will be helpful. We will have 3 mages here, as well as a couple leaders. And we put down 11 PD. I don't think that he's attacking, so we're not going to PD dump super hard. But that's kind of what we think is going in on Xibalba. Really... I'm very glad that this was not versus a player, because no one's here to just see how stupid we are. Man, it's just so painful losing over 100 gems worth of equipment. And not only the gems, the mage turns to forge them. Just very, very... And the gentles themselves, and not just the gentles, but like, we had a really, really nice gentle with the huge amount of HP, with the unequaled obesity / being a prophet. Just pain. Okay, but we successfully researched evocation. I think we might be a little bit ahead of Xibalba in research, but it's hard to know. After kind of taking our turn, we're up to 587 points of research a month. Losing mages really hurts our research, and we can either use the mages to fight or use them to research, and so losing a bunch of them is kind of rough. We are going to go for construction. Kind of want Legions of Steel active. For 3 prot on all warned armor parts, especially versus the scorpions. If the scorpions damage you 1 damage, then they apply a poison that does 35 damage and it just like full on kills you. But if they don't get that damage through, the scorpions are a lot worse. And so having a little bit of extra prot doesn't just save you a few damage, it saves you from basically like full on dying. And also Forge of the Ancients is maybe something we are interested in, just in general. And eventually we want Construction 7, but I don't think we go Construction 7 before Conjuration 6. That was kind of our other option, where we would gain access to the attacks. But it didn't quite seem like enough. Summon Gnome is also kind of nice. Lamia Queen. We still maybe are trying to live the dream where we cost Mother Oak. No one has gone for a global yet, though. And so we still have to try and figure out what exactly we're doing there. But okay. We were afraid of also casting a global because, well, Airmore was still in the game. But Airmore has swapped to AI. And this is kind of an example of how we would prefer our wars to go. Just be very quick and decisive. And the Xibalba one is looking like it's switching to maneuvering and, like, bobbing and weaving and this type of thing. Ooh, actually, let's watch this battle as well. This was closer than I would have liked. But this is our Sorgina going in. She blesses herself and then is going to cast Summon Air Elemental. Air Elemental gets in. But it's really, if the PD features Cavalry, then it's like sketchy for us, because they do get in and they do start getting damage down. But the combination of the extra hit points and invulnerability and extra hit points does make us a little bit hard to kill, combined with our buffs, and the Air Elemental is really sufficient for kind of getting most of the damage done, and then we can cast a bunch of spells too, but we would have preferred not Cavalry, because that gives us a lot more time to cast our buff script and get through it. But okay. As we were saying with Airmore is now controlled by the AI, and we were worried about them dispelling or this type of thing a little bit. Maybe that's a little bit too much, but they do break free. Which the Airmore player wasn't going to really attempt. We do see a bunch of augers with a bunch of gems. Holy, that's a lot of pearls. That is a lot of pearls. They don't really cast a communion. They're controlled by the AI here. Looks like some of them have a script to buff themselves, and some are advancing and casting spells. I'm surprised they could break out of this. I don't know how they're killing all these vampires, and I would have expected the vampires to really crush their backline, which they do. Oh! What was that even? Okay, I mean, that'll do it. They're weak to fire. Was that solar rays? Maybe that was solar rays. The Airmore player, if they watch this, that's maybe going to be an interesting thing for them. Apparently they could have broken out a lot easier than we had anticipated. Yeah, these... Is that solar rays? Alright, but, the commander dies and then the rest of the forces rout. So, a little bit of attrition. They lose some augers, but they have some augers left, auger elder. That's what's going on. We also have a bunch of other battles here with our fight with Roos. Roos has not returned now 3 of our messages. He is completely uninterested in Diplo, so it seems this is really unfortunate. We would really be okay with just having these and a pathway to Xibalba, especially because we have a fat stack of stuff. Now that this is free, though, we could go after Airmore and actually take Airmore, and so that'll be kind of what we do. But this army for us is quite strong, and it's where we have the 2 fighting gentles that we have remaining. We would love to just teleport them across the map. But okay, we're trying to catch out these guys. We have a chance of catching them out. And we have a little bit of concern, and that is them going in on Ripe Woods. All of our raids are successful, though. This little raid of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Really do love just the Mouflins, just like thunk, 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 thunk. When people don't have a lot of PD, the Mouflins are just like absolutely insane. Here we have a raid with a Sorgina against very little PD. The guy is not stacking very much PD at all, so we're probably going to continue to use more Sorgina raids. He is either stacking like infinite PD or like none, but we just have her come on over and summon an air elemental. It's gratuitous. Probably actually shouldn't have even spent the gem. But okay, she's gonna search afterwards. And we have this, which is, again, just into 1 PD. Probably don't even need to watch it. And we're sieging them now. Except for we're gonna stop. We're gonna leave one guy behind, that way the siege is maintained and he has to actively break out. And also, expecting him to just relieve the siege here to here. And he's just trying to link up. We should be able to siege this in 1 turn with this force this big. If we just click on this, we can see, or I can see, my head blocks it though, so you can't see. It's got 566 siege strength. That's a 1 turn bink, and then we will get rid of them. We are concerned about him going in on Ripe Woods, so we've made some adjustments where we are have at least some sort of script. Several of these guys just summoning an Earth Elemental. We boosted up the PD here, up to 15, which is kind of okay. A little bit expensive. We spent quite a bit on PD this turn, close to 200 in total. And then we're going to just teleport our god there. We kind of want Unga Bunga there anyways. Unga Bunga 2, Electric Bungaloo. And the reason is we want to try and dom push Airmore to some extent, and we want to fill out the rest of this with our Dominion, and this is a pretty good spot from which to do it, and we also get to site search Ripe Woods with our god, and so we're just teleporting right over. We also do win in Iron Peaks. Kind of maybe a little bit of an amusing battle, but he doesn't try and defend against it whatsoever. And I think the Cave Cows just get in and go blah, blah, blah. And we don't even, like, really melee things right now. Actually, it looks like the Cave Cow's not so accurate. Alright, fair enough. But, we're gonna toot it and boot it. I think that we want to get this, manual of water breathing somewhere else, maybe. And so, we're just gonna come back a little bit more flexible. And I think that this Norn army is going to come here and then here, probably, and reclaim that. And we're not interested in fighting 100 of Roos's warriors here. Our other raid here is also successful because it's against 1 PD. And we notice something that's quite nice. And we might even be teleporting our Pretender God over there sometime soon. And they just whittle that down quite quickly. And that is that this is a place where there's more Jade Maidens, potentially. So we would actually like to develop this if we can. And right next to it is another site with Amazons and Pegasus Riders. So really nice land around Roos. And then we notice this. What's this, my guy? This is one enemy unit. Appears to be gassy little fella, the eldest dwarf. Now, we can't catch him with the wolves if he runs away. I kind of think he's going to run away, so we're just moving the wolves north. But spells go off before movement. So we're going to try a little Call of the Winds, which is going to summon a bunch of hawks. I think the hawks can take him out if it's just him. If he puts down a bunch of PD, this won't work. But 8 gems at a chance of killing the Pretender God. Very, very cute little thing that we have there. We also are trying to defend Lithia. I don't know if we win this fight if he comes in from Airmore. We are bringing in a little bit more. We're moving in with this guy to summon Earth Power, summon Earth Elemental. In fact, we could actually kind of have him bring in a little bit of extra troops too. Let's do... Yeah, this should be fine. Put those in front a little bit. And have him... Oh, we cannot. These guys is too slow. These guys might not be. But do want to try and make sure that we can hold Lithia. Did add a little bit of PD up to level 11. I think Airmore is unlikely to attack, because I think that the AI will want to link up his 2 territories, but I don't know how much they play like that. We're going to move this guy out of the way. But specifically didn't want to just vacate Lithia. It's got a 200 income. Losing that for a turn is kind of rough, and maybe this guy can... Actually, we can give him... We can give him something like this. And maybe he can do some work. Not the bracers, though. Or even... Don't even need this great sword of sharpness, but the midget masher should be kind of okay. We have him scripted to not attack, but we could have him attack. If he moves in a bunch of spellcasters, we might be in trouble, though. I don't know. This is maybe punty, this is maybe spewy, but we do want to try and hold on to the gold, so we'll see if the 2 Mouflins squads and this squad can have it handled alongside the PD. But I think that he just doesn't attack this because it's not as soft a target. I don't know how the AI behaves entirely, though, so maybe... I think it's worth the risk. Surely everything can't go bad multiple times in a row, but that's kind of what we have going on over here. The last vestiges of Airmore, and now we're fighting Roos. I think we're going to trap his army soon, though. And if he comes to Summeridge and he knocks us out, then we're just going to be coming in on Summeridge the following turn and bringing these guys back, this squad that we currently have. And then he has nowhere to retreat to. He has nowhere to retreat to right now, so if he loses the battle, he's just stone cold lost. And he hasn't even seen what we're cooking with here, which is attacking the backline with these Gentles. And if these Gentles kill the backline and the rest of the army routes, they just, like, are gone. At which point he might be willing to go for peace, which we would be okay with if we actually thought he was willing to peace. But since he's not been talking to us at all, I have concerns for that. We'd much rather he attack Tianqi. We also have a bit of a problem. A little bit of a living golem. I think Yomi... We slung Yomi because we thought Yomi was going to die real quick. Yomi appears to be 3v1ing. And I don't know if this is hats off to Yomi or with like a wag of the finger to the other players, but these Ghost Rending Claws are lining up incredibly well against the Hellbless of... Or Ghost... Here. These Shikomes, we have personally funded about 20 of those and a ton of other stuff for Yomi, because we thought Yomi was dying. In the all chat, Yomi is asking people for naps. And we just want Yomi to be fighting other people. But he has unholy weapons, regeneration, and fortitude. So these things are regenerating. They do plus 15 damage to sacreds. And they take half damage from physical attacks. And Lanka's strategy is like all sacred. They took a really hellish bless with a whole bunch of stuff. And looks like they got more fire resistance. Ooh. Oh, they went even more hellish than we realized. They have an incarnate only bless with shock resistance, fire resistance. They have 15 fire resistant? What's that about? But I think this bless is 6, plus the fire resistance 8, plus this is 18, plus blood surge righteous wrath is 26, plus larger is like 34. This is just all bless, and it just lines up so poorly against Yomi. And then we also know that this doesn't exactly line up super good against Yomi. It's good against evocations and it scales well, but Enchanted Blood, Blood Surge, Righteous Wrath, Undying 10. I do think that Lanka and Tianqi are friends or allies because they are playing together, but they both have just like, we're dumping our scales and we're going for Sacred Troops. And then they have they're lined up very poorly against these Shikomes, which are just getting plus 15 damage. They have size 3, so there's 6 attacks per square, and they do 27 damage, and they have Berserker, and they take half damage from mundane attacks and then regenerate, and they're just absolutely shredding. They're absolutely shredding what's going on here. What the only hope is, or what the potential is that Muspelheim is actually capable of bringing this back into some sort of balance, but we want this to continue on a long time so we have longer to eat everyone else, and that's the hope. And to some extent that's a race against time, because this seems, what we have against Xibalba seems like it's moving like molasses, or it's going to move like molasses. We are retreating so that we could link up troops, and we have like no hammer or trump card. That feels really good. In a couple turns we will have Legions of Steel, and that'll be kind of nice. But right now we're content to kind of avoid the fight, and so we should have just gone slower. Our interaction with this throne was very informative, and by that I mean our initial attack on it was almost certainly incorrect. I thought it could work, and then our second attack on it was throwing good gems after bad gems, and in total we probably lost like 200 gems worth of stuff and like thousands of gold, and then we still don't get the throne. I do think some of the equipment we can get back, because I do think it goes on to some of the guys there, but we have to be the one that gets it. It would be so bad for us if Therados just came in, swooped in, and grabbed all the items. So we have some hope there. But then we have to try and slowly push through Rus, I guess, as well. And I don't feel very good about fighting 2 people at once. We should have just chilled off of Xibalba and just looked to resolve the Rus question first. I think maybe getting ahead of ourselves and didn't really properly think through whether or not we would be fighting Rus. We also thought Rus was fighting Tianqi some time ago, but we haven't seen it now. And probably need to take more time between turns to think who is fighting who, and what's the trajectory and who is available to fight. And as it stands, we are now fighting 2 people, which not preferable. Lanka is fighting Yomi, but they might try and peace out because they lost a tremendous amount last turn. Tianqi is fighting Yomi. Xibalba is fighting us now. Rus is fighting us now. Muspelheim is fighting Yomi. And then Therados and Atlantis are fighting each other, and then Therados is also content to peel stuff off of Xibalba. I think that the fact that Therados is also just in our way in a lot of spots. We kind of want this territory because this would make it easier to fight Xibalba, and we want this because this would make it easier for us to take on Rus. So we might have to, from a macro strategy, it might be a harder lean into the alliance that we have with Atlantis, and actually turn on Therados, but not looking to have 3 open fronts all at once at this juncture. We have to figure out some way to close the fighting between Rus and probably kill Xibalba. I don't think that we're doing anything other than killing Xibalba, and we don't have anything here. A bit unfortunate. This fort does complete, though, as does the one downstairs, so we're going to start getting more troops out of here. We didn't kind of go through this, so we'll go through the rest of it. We did do contact Draconians in one spot. I think that we have it also in another spot. We also empowered this guy in fire, and he is going to forge Mace of Eruptions, several Mace of Eruptions, because we do not like the Frostbrand as an AoE attack, because Rus is cold resistant, and we like the Mace of Eruption because the Mace of Eruption specifically is good against the undead, and we're going to have Skelly spam from Xibalba, so that's probably what we're doing with him, and that's why we empowered him, so now we can get 1 gem fire items, and do this for some time, and then empower him again later. The Draconians are going to be quite nice. They are here, so we have a decent amount of force here as well, that we've summoned, in these Drakes with the Yetis, off to the left, and then these guys dropping in on the rear. Also very nice, or as part of our strategy, we want to be cognizant of stuff that has poison resistance. And as we transition armies, having all poison-resistant armies is going to be nice, because then we can use Foul Vapors. And Foul Vapors will actually be pretty solid against Rus, and so that's something that's on our radar, is if we manage to push Rus back to here, we send an army through to Xibalba, and then defend here with Foul Vapors, something like this. Okay, we do have the 2 battles which we covered, where we drop in with our Sorgina. We're going back. We offered this to Atlantis. Atlantis didn't want this. We offered this location to him to hold on to it for us, because he has a nap with Xibalba, so Xibalba wouldn't be able to take it back. We're just trying to deny it from Xibalba, and we have this here. We have complete failure to find any magical sites. Obscuro continuing to be completely useless. This man, he is very useless. He's, you know what the illusion is? The true illusion, he's an illusionist. The true illusion is how he's tricked us into paying for him. He has not found a single magical site. Oh, also, we did cast Raven Feast, which turns corpses. It costs 3 air gems, and it turns corpses into death gems. Specifically, we need air 4 to do it, but we have this 1 air 4 guy. And so that's actually pretty nice that we do have that option available to us, to get enough death gems to empower probably this guy, who we already empower him in death as well, because there's a death fire cross path booster that we would be interested in, and then we can continue to use him. Okay, we have all the battles which we've gone through. Notably, he didn't leave a single guy behind in the Verdant Steppe, just in case we didn't attack it, which I thought was a little bit curious. We had the battles, the battle in Airmore we did cover, and a couple unexpected events. Lithia, absolutely massive amount of money. Ripewoods, we lose some money and get some death. Olifa, Shaman gets cursed, not too big a deal. Our scout does get discovered and killed. Yomi is one of the few that seems to be very actively going after patrols. He has discovered 2 of our scouts. We have 28 remaining. Where's the other fort finishing? Yeah, Undermountain on the throne, which is part of why our income's up. We have breached also 5k income. We were at like 4.8k before, now we're at 5.3, so that's a pretty big come up. But okay, this is what we have going on. Some sieges, moving guys around. Expecting this Rus question to get resolved relatively soon, as I think he's just going to run to the fort and try and stay in the fort, but it's too much. I don't think he can beat this, unless he's got some secret mages up his sleeve. To be fair, we know that there are some mages in here. We'll be curious to see how he decides to handle this. Another thing is, another reason for us not wanting to attack up here in the Forest of Idun, or to avoid the conflict with this 210, we don't know what he's doing with these guys. We don't know what the move is. We don't know how he's bobbing and weaving. And also, the Abyss is a cave, so we can't use Storm or Rain there. And so, to the extent that we can force him to elongate his supply line and have worse mages while we're very close to our capital, we're kind of okay with this because we can bring guys to the Nether in one turn, mages and such, from the capital. He cannot do that from Xibalba, and also he has to worry about covering Xibalba. So I think that he's in a weird spot where we're going to try and keep him where we said it before, but attack where he is weaker and just retreat where he is stronger. And he can't afford to push his supply lines out too far, I don't think, because he doesn't have enough guys. And at the same time, we have a very long supply line here in the south, so we don't have a way of bringing... We would love to just actually teleport a Gentil from here over to here, but we can't do it. So there is that as well. Okay, so we learned that we can't actually capture the Rus army, and we thought through kind of a lot of logic, or tried to, regarding what exactly we should do. We still think he's just headed to Summer Edge and he's just going to hole up in there. But he could attack Ripewoods. We also changed our script a little bit and kind of put a little bit more investment. We're going to be casting Curse of Stones if he comes in, which I think is actually going to pair pretty well with Nightfall, making everyone miss a lot more of their attacks. You know, this will give them like -3 to attack and defense. And this is going to be good for us, especially because a lot of our troops have the ability to see in dark. But also, the more attacks that are occurring, even if we're missing and they're missing, the more revolutions, the more Curse of Stones is going to fatigue. And specifically, it's good against Berserk guys, because Berserk guys generate more fatigue, and they have 2 attacks, so the extra 3 encumbrance, they're going to be pipping that twice a turn if they have 2 attacks. And so, this guy casting Curse of Stones, we just really don't want to whiff here. But I think what we're going to do is we're just going to storm the castle. I think this is the most consistent play, because we lock in the income. And to that extent, we also have a priest moving in so that they can build next turn a temple, and then we can respond to what both Rus and Airmore are doing. Specifically, we really don't want Airmore to go down here, and we really don't want them to go down and into Obsidian Wastes following that, and we really, really don't want them to take out Lithia. We have a decent-sized force in Lithia. I think maybe they don't attack it. I don't know exactly what the AI behavior is going to be here. I really hope that he just wants to relieve the siege, and so he just moves north, or he just stays put in Airmore. But I think what we'll probably do is, after we take this out, we maybe head to Relothia, and then try and root him out if it looks like he's just going to chill here. And if that's not the case, we don't chase him, but instead we turn it around and we deal with Airmore first, the remnants, the last vestiges, and then we can kind of focus on it. Because this, for us, is going to be like a pivot in the sense that we can make it a 1-lane highway through some of this if he can't go through here. So I do think us kind of committing a decent chunk of resources to defending this is going to be useful, but we almost need like 2 armies that can beat this army in order to guarantee a catch on it. And it seems like he's evading, which is probably smart. I don't think he wins against us, but the storming of the castle is probably the most consistent play. We are open to a little bit of variance. We'll maybe dump some more PD into either here or Mountains of Evernight. I feel like the AI likes to attack lower PD stuff, but PD needs to be 20 for him to see it, but that's a huge investment in PD. I don't know if we want to take things quite that far. I do think he can beat this force in Lithia if he wants to, and it's 200 gold, which is why we just don't back up or something like this, because we do have some usefulness here. We also have a little bit more coming in. I guess we could even bring this guy as well. I don't think we have a... We do have something for him to suit up with. Here, let's hold twice and then attack the rear. But this is actually pretty good for us because invulnerability 18 is going to kind of work for us, and then this guy's bigger than almost everything, so the double damage, he can try and just wade through it and be useful. Yeah, I really hope they don't attack here, though. Even then, I still don't know if it works out for us, but us just not having to pay the upkeep on this guy would also be nice. Wow. Stolen Strength, too. You hate to see it. Turn 45 here. Did make a couple of slight adjustments. We had an additional Summon Draconian. We can kind of talk about that. I think that Xibalba so far has just attacked our army and chased our army, and they are of the opinion, it seems, that they beat us. And we thought about it a little bit, and the Scorpion summons are actually really, really strong, really terrifying. Like 50 HP, they're really big, they wade through things, very strong. But also was thinking, these things are undisciplined. You can't set them as bodyguards. He actually doesn't have a very good way to defend his commanders. So we might just have to use the flyers to defend the flyers. Now, kind of expecting him to crack down on Packwoods, and we're going to be reinforcing it with this force, which is 82 guys, and also this, which we summoned extra Draconians, which is 46 guys. In fact, why don't we give this guy a little bit of gear? We'd just kind of prefer him not to die, but if it happens, it happens. He's nice and tall, so he's less likely to get hit in the head, so a helmet's a little bit less important. But we are going to move into Packwoods and hope that he just thinks that we think that the army loses, and he's just going to crack down, and he's like, oh, I get more provinces, woohoo. Now, we're not so committed to this, because we don't know what level of scouting he has. We have been trying to patrol out these areas and keep any scouts from gaining information, but if he knows, if he has a scout here, he could just see the Draconians. If he has a scout here, he could see that we have like 100 Sinos, or like 50 Sinos and 80 total troops. So he might not crack down. So we're going to hold this guy here just in case he patrols in place, because we don't want to punt 4 gelatinous cubes if we can avoid it. But here, we're going to attack. We're not super... I think that this force is generally not going to be very strong. And also, he only left a few loyal henchmen here. So might have been a little bit of an oversight from him. But he didn't bring this back up to 6. So this will for sure be able to handle it if he doesn't increase PD here. And probably be able to handle a little bit of PD, maybe up to 6. We'll see what he does, but we might be able to jam up that province as well here. But just wanted to kind of comment that we think the Draconians are good, and we're summoning another squad. So that's going to be 60 gems, air gems worth of Draconians. So if this doesn't work, it's going to be really awkward, because that's a huge investment, but this is one of the benefits of us going Conjuration 5, which I don't know if... He knows we have Conjuration 5 because we've shown elementals, so... Okay, for our research, we're going to get Conjuration 6, and after a lot of moving around and trying to get our research a little bit higher with our mages, and kind of pulling back on summons in general, just kind of trying to push this up. We're up to 747 research, so we're probably going to go Conjuration 6 into Conjuration 7 as the plan. I think we've discussed it a little bit, but attacks is something that we're interested in. Aethergate is a dump for our Astral Pearls that we can use with our god. Contact Lamia Queen, it would be nice. We still have this pipe dream of casting Mother Oak, but I think we just made a mistake with our Pretender construction, and we should have had 5 nature on our Pretender, and now we don't have a very good way for getting the additional point in nature. I don't think. There might be a construction item. There's an item I get confused about exactly what it does. Okay, so this is the item, and it gives +1 nature magic, so the dream would be maybe for us to get a Moonvine bracelet and then cast Mother Oak, but I think what we're going to do is we've not seen anyone cast any globals. I don't know if people are not hitting... Maybe we're ahead in research and people aren't hitting the research level 6 yet, but this is appealing because I don't think anyone else really wants Riches from Beneath that badly, so I'm less concerned that someone casts it over us. Because it's a lot more valuable when you have a bunch of mines. Mines tend to appear underground. We have mostly underground, and that would be a lot of additional income. Income is starting to get squeezed a little bit just by our maintenance. Our maintenance is ballooned up to 2k. We have an enormous amount of maintenance on units. because we have an enormous amount of units, and we have a bunch of mages, and this is, of course, how we're getting research out. But the Cave Cows are up to 160, the Myru Warriors over 100. This is where a lot of the maintenance is, and a lot of the Myru Warriors are up here. But okay, kind of cruising back through stuff. We do get our teleport off. There's a battle here, not successful for killing the dwarf, but we do get to see it. So let's take a look at the battle. We'll screenshot probably this gentleman here, but he dumps a bunch of PD that he didn't have there before. He casts Body Ethereal, so he's kind of they don't attack rear. A bit unfortunate, but okay, he just has a guy for sight searching. This guy is going to be pretty weak. He has 22 HP, so we can maybe do 3 Saking Arrows on him if we see him skulking about where he ought not to be. But it's just a Rainbow Mage for summoning. Also, Master Smith, kind of nice here. Because he can forge just about anything. So, nice little, kind of approve of this as the choice here. As you know, Roos is actually kind of giving us some more problems than I had anticipated. I was hoping he would just think that he wins the fight, but he doesn't. Also got this battle over here. I feel like I'm going crazy because I remember him having only Berserkers and Skin Shifters, and Warriors are a lot worse than Berserkers. They just have spears. It's kind of really whatever. We thought for a long while after seeing this of dropping our Pretender God on Wise Spring Grove, but decided not to. And we'll maybe talk through like what's going on here. Kind of quite a bit of leveling, because we have this big stack, and we can go a couple of different places, and he has a big stack, and he can go a couple different places. We can go to Wise Spring Grove, we can go to Relotia, we can go into Emery, and we've chosen Emery. Now, depending on where he goes, we're kind of anticipating Summer Edge. We were anticipating that last turn. Kind of surprises us a little bit. And he maybe just wanted to avoid the fight, and okay, that's fair enough. If he goes here, it's super whatever, and we're no longer concerned, and this isn't annoying. If he goes to Relotia, it's an interesting move. He stacked a bunch of PD there, so it killed our werewolf, which was kind of awkward, but also this is so much PD. This is very expensive here for him to be just like dropping this here, and okay. I guess maybe we need to play around him just like doing massive PD dumps. I don't think that this is good. We can clear this out with Foul Vapors, like 2 mages and Foul Vapors, I think will like get the job done, and maybe some elementals or something. But okay. Going back to Relotia would be a real boss move, and that would be the most obnoxious. We think he goes to Summer Edge, in which case he's not really threatening Verdant Steppe. We are constructing a temple there, so we have to mind the temple. But I think by coming back here, we retain a lot of flexibility, and then we can go and kill Airmore once and for all, because Airmore is getting like 600 gold and a turn, and he's going to make 600 gold worth of units, and we're going to have to kill 600 gold worth of units. As long as he's here, he's just kind of like a cancer within us. But the second thing is, with this front here, if he goes into Summer Edge, then Ripewoods, we can get another army involved in the leveling and the moving around, because we can move everyone to Summer Edge. And I think that this is pretty solid, but also, we can, once we move our entire army to Summer Edge, we can defend Ripewoods with Foul Vapors, with our Unga Bunga, 2 Electric Boongaloo, the Great Monolith. We can do that. So we have a bunch of guys kind of moving in with the intention of creating a big force and then moving out to Summer Edge. To that end, we're also casting Awakened Sleeper with our Unga Bunga Electric Boongaloo, which is going to give us a very, very nice commander. And we don't currently have access to formations. This gives us access to formations, and is part of why we want access to Glamour just in general on our Pretender, so that we can actually use guys much more effectively. So that's kind of what we're doing here, is we're preparing, and in particular, the head-on collision is one in which where he can't level us. So if we are in Ripewoods and he's in Summer Edge, we can move out to Summer Edge, and there's not a way for him to attack Ripewoods, right? One of our forces are going to bump the other. He could mega PD dump, which he might, so it might be worth being tentative, but that's kind of what we're doing is this leveling war and trying to figure things out. But also from Verdant Steppes, if he goes into Relothia, we could zigzag back to Relothia. I'm not sure I really like that. I think we might just go after Airmore, and just try and end it for them, because I don't think that they have a very good response to this, and we want to kind of get them off the map. Okay. We find one magic site. Uneventful. A little bit of earth magic. Our guys continue to be super useless for finding anything, but okay. Like this guy. I don't think this guy's found a single thing. He now is carrying the Skull Staff so that he could search a little bit better, but okay. I think okay, so this is probably pretty bad for me, or weak play from me. I left the Sorgina there. I thought we could just search there. I didn't think we'd see anything coming in. He comes in with a Ragtag Band, which if we had dumped some PD here, we actually could have beat this. God, she casts just a bunch of useless spells. You hate to see it. Shockwave kind of nice. But she ends up dying. And that's a cap-only commander, so that's like a very significant investment. We're recruiting another Sorgina in the capital. They're a little bit better for research, and the money lined up where we couldn't really recruit a Gento, but that's a little bit punty. So now, over the last 2 turns, we've lost 7 turns worth of cap mages, which kind of feels really bad. But okay, continuing on, I think that we did kind of look at this battle. We didn't watch the battle because the battles, there's like nothing doing here. It's just a little bit of province defense. But the fact that they have warriors, I don't know what happened. We're going to screenshot this. But I just remember this being berserkers. I don't know when they changed to being warriors, or if that's a thing. Okay, we get a couple battles with Xibalba here, which are this is just a Batab and a couple of Xibalba guards. This is nothing. And then we have Gol Ahmad, and this is important not because any significant losses or this type of thing. We only had 1 PD there, but it's important because he hasn't reinforced this, and we know that he hasn't reinforced it. And so that's a little bit of information for us. This is the same squad. No thing was added. But we are a little bit concerned here because his Dominion is going down. And 2 turns ago, we knew his Pretender was here. Now, his Pretender could be anywhere, and we're assuming it's heading back down to the south. So, this... I don't know if he has a strategy where he could just full-on raid really, really heavily with his Pretender, but that is one of the bigger concerns here, especially on the lower Dominion provinces. So we are going to try and keep an eye on the Dominion, because one of the giveaways as to where his Pretender is if it has... if there is a lot of Dominion there. But also, to the extent that we can patrol, this is going to be something we're interested in. Maybe I should have kept a Sorgina in Curtain Wall. We had one there. I think we moved her down. Where did we move her? We have a Sorgina here. We have a couple Sorginas here. This is kind of... Mammoth Grove and Great Cenote are the 2 key provinces. Great Cenote has an enormous amount of Dominion, so his Pretender God will be very, very weak there. And it has... Okay, it has some PD, so I don't know... That'd be kind of risky for him to go into, but he could do it. And then here, I think we do have some amount of patrolling going on. We actually could try and patrol a little bit more. We, I think, need to just, in general, try and recruit more champions to hold stuff and use stuff for patrolling, though. And so this is a concern. I think his Pretender's on the move, and I think it's coming over to this side of things, which is kind of okay with us to some extent, because... we are getting ready to surface in the Abyss. We're going to do that next turn, after we have... Well, actually, what are the odds we think that he cracks down on this army? 190. I think we're just going to do it next turn because we have this army reinforcing and this army reinforcing, and so we will have a power spike here where we'll have an additional, what is this, 30 units plus 32 units. We'll have an additional 60 units here, and currently right here we have 300 units. Maybe we just are strong enough, and we should just move up. We know that his pretender is very unlikely to be around here, or I think very unlikely, because he is just hemorrhaged Dominion. What we're concerned about is him moving over a big force and kind of catching us with some really big spells. And we can just wait and have a pretty big battlefield-wide spell of our own next turn. But we already did kind of revamp this guy's equipment, which was one of the reasons for coming back, and also got him regenerating. So, this is also a big source of the additional research we have this turn. We'll actually take a little bit of a think here, but I'm pretty sure we just want to wait for the extra guys because it's, you know, an extra 20% forces and kind of give... We still are kind of keen on the idea of him attacking this with a decent-sized force, and us just seeing what he's doing. And if he doesn't attack with a decent-sized force, he runs the possibility of really, really hurting himself, in that if we bring our force up when he brings in, and it's not a really, really big force, then he's going to be in trouble. So he either has to, like, show his hand or risk running into a really big force. But... we'll think a little bit. I think we'll just wait. At this point, we don't have overwhelming advantage, and I think we'll just play it low and slow, where we getting +3 prot on 100% of our guys and having 20% more troops just for waiting a turn seems fine. This seems fine. I don't think that this is... being a turn slow is one of the ways we lose, although it does open up to him having power spikes in terms of casting. I think that we have, with our Bless... a relatively high resilience to some of the stuff that he would be able to do, like Rigor Mortis and this type of thing. We even thought about, when we were going to fight Roos and drop our Obelisk on him, we thought about casting Rigor Mortis ourselves. So, okay, I think that I'm cowardly and timid from losing so much in the second forest that I just want the consistent play over the fastest play. But, like, looming in the background is the fact that you do have to accumulate resources fast enough to be able to fight other people, and Yomi is terrifying. I really wish we had a scout here so we could see more of what Yomi's doing. Muspelheim has just parked their Jarls there. I also don't know what to make of that, because he could have moved. Also, I remember him having more. Maybe there was some kind of issue. We have something there, though. He's not patrolling with it. But okay. We also do get a little bit of a look at Emmerich, what they have here. Nothing too crazy. Also only moving out with 1 mage. This is fine. We're super okay pushing into this. Also, the AI will get extra PD, but not too big a deal. We get toads falling from the sky. Misfortune. Oh no. I think that this is actually a ranged spell that's hurting us. And... a little bit annoying, yeah. We have this guy to patrol. We are going to patrol with him. And so that'll kind of bring down the unrest. But that's a big source of why we're money squeezed this turn, is instead of giving us like 550 income, it's 307. We are incidentally casting a spell of our own. Hurricane, which does a similar thing. It hurts pops and gives unrest. We're casting this on Xibalba. I think that Xibalba cast one of those on us. We thought about doing one on Roos as well. But just the thought better of it. I don't think... Roos is, like... I'm not very concerned about Roos's reinforcement. We're also going to harass Roos in the backlines here. Like, he only has 1 PD here. So we're just going to attack this with the werewolf. He's not taking this back next turn, right? We're denying him gem income as well here. And this, I assume, is going into Iron Peaks. But we won't be there, and that's 1 turn slower for him coming up, because he could have gone here instead, and that'll slow down the reinforcing squad. But also, we get to look and see what's here, and if there's not a lot of Chud skin shifters, this is specifically the thing that could kill our Pretender, then we maybe just drop the hammer on him, like, while in transit, or something like this. We'll have to see. We have to keep in mind that we do have here a guy with sailing, so we can do some shenanigans, like, when they come here, or the turn that they're set to arrive here, we can drop the obelisk here, and we know that there's a lot of PD here, but we assume that he's not moving here and patrolling, and so then we trap the units inside the fort, and they can't move around, and then we can sail a bunch of extra units to help out the obelisk, something like this. I don't know. We have like a pretty big advantage by having sailing and flying, and he just has to like walk his ass over. So that's going to be nice for us. We have this guy who was discovered and attacked. We already talked about that. And most of the forts, this fort they're repairing faster, and this fort they're repairing faster, just because in both of these we left exactly one guy. This is just denying the income, and when he eventually, forcing him to like waste turns. Like, it's 12 gold. Any commander with some amount of forces that's going to be used to take this out is worth it for us, but also it's preventing him from building PD there. It's preventing him from building units out of Summer Edge, which is very nice for us. So I do think he has to, like, kind of come down here. I mean, like, he maybe just levels us with this Relothia play, but when he comes down here, we will be able to have enough time to go after Airmore and then come back. Something like this. We're also here using our scouts. I think we gave this guy a little bit too much equipment, and we're kind of lamenting not having some more of this equipment elsewhere. So we're actually sending a scout back there to pick up the equipment and then take it back to Mammoth Grove, and then, or any place where we have a lab, and then pick up some gems and then head on out. Something like this. We have to be a little bit careful of assassinations on our scouts, so stacking too much stuff on a scout is a little bit risky. Very cute that we have the flying carpet, though, because this actually makes resupplying a lot easier. Having this on the scout might actually be useful. We also are kind of taking our next step in building up a blood economy. It's been a long time where we have just been sitting on this one blood guy who now we're searching with. But we are empowering this guy in Perrine here. And what we might do is we might get kind of a throwaway mage, maybe this Camazot here, and a Watcher in Perrine, and just have him patrol with the Watcher continuously. That's not too much upkeep overall. Would prefer to use a guy who's sacred over this guy, but this guy is also, his maintenance isn't so high a year, in order to keep things kind of good in Perrine, and then we can use this guy to search for blood. In particular, the Camazot has Blood Searcher 1 already, so he'll go up to Blood Searcher 2. It just doesn't show up unless he has blood, but we're empowering him in blood. So this will be nice for us and allow us to start getting going on our blood economy. So, like, Xibalba is also going to have, or also already has a blood economy. We saw that he has some amount of, he had some amount of blood summons. Not seeing them here, though, so don't know exactly where they are. But he's going to be using a bunch of his blood magic for summons. We're basically just going to be trying to ramp up and using the blood to empower these guys as we get more and more of them. Although we've taken off repeat recruitment for now. Actually, let's put it back on. We're just squeezed for money this turn. I think we have to stop recruiting Myru, basically. We're going to continue out of here, but this is going to be the only place where we're looking to kind of pad the numbers, because we just actually don't have a lot over here. We just have, like, just this squad, but we have an absolute ton over here, which is probably a little bit gratuitous, so I've cut back here. But I think that's going to be the turn for us. We'll continue to, like, massage some of these things, and try and think through it, but looking to just be a little bit slower and more methodical here, and to try and clean out Airmore. And when we get a whiff of his Pretender, that will also allow us to just strike on the opposite side a little bit better. I think he also probably is a little bit leery about attacking stuff where we have high Dominion, so our ability to push Dominion is very useful. Something to note, though, is we only have one Dominion candle here, despite having a temple, so maybe that's a little bit of a sign. This is probably our most vulnerable province, so there's not a lot we could do right now. I suppose we can... No, there's really actually just not... Well, actually, we could just give each of these guys... we could give each of these guys great swords of sharpness, but... in case they get assassinated. But if he just attacks the province and casts a bunch of spells, there's not a whole lot we could do. I think we have like 10 PD here, but that's not... I don't think it's worth the great swords. I just don't think it's necessarily going to work. We do have also... We're kind of just generally low on equipment because somebody punted the equipment a couple turns ago, but we have one ring of water breathing. We'll have the manual next turn. We can think about trying to take out Underhome, kind of in the nearish future. Yeah. But yeah, that's going to be the turn for us. We actually don't have time to wait for this. Really unfortunate. Probably should have prioritized this more because this is both information as well as income. But we're going to go last-ditch effort, summon Power, personal Iron Skin, personal regeneration, enlarge, and attack. Enlarge, important for making us 3 larger. I think the breakpoint is 3. When you're 3 larger than the enemy, they're less likely to hit your head. We don't have a helmet, so this is going to be valuable, and then we're just going to get in there. And we should have done this forever ago. Now we're kind of coin flipping which one of us gets to go in first. If Therados gets in there first and they beat this, then we'll bump off of Therados. If we get in there first, Therados will bump off of us. Increasingly, Therados is actually just in a spot where Therados is just really kind of stymies what we can do and what we're looking for, and we're stymieing Therados, and I think Therados is also relatively belligerent / not that willing to negotiate, because they didn't negotiate a peace with Xibalba. Of course, we've had Therados be friendly to us this entire time, so maybe that's a bit of a misnomer, and we're talking to Atlantis more, and of course Atlantis is going to make Therados look like the bad guy. But from a macro perspective, our path to victory, what we were planning on doing... involved grabbing these 3 thrones, and maybe this throne, because we need 4 more thrones. And they've cut us off, and they also cut us off here, and this is a little bit frustrating. Also, last turn, the fact that Atlantis was not willing to take this makes us trust Atlantis more, because we tried to get Atlantis to take this and hold us for us, to deny income to Xibalba, and Atlantis was like, no, I think that's a little sus, that's breaking a non-aggression pact, I don't want to do that type of thing. And so at this point, we kind of trust them more, but just generally, I mean, I guess we could tell Therados that we want Underhome, and for them not to take it, because we've already lost guys and items there, and request that they don't. And if they listen to us, then that's nice. If they magic move onto it, then I guess that's a vibe. That's kind of what we thought about doing, and we could do that with one of these guys. Is we could magic move in there and get the guarantee. I just don't know. I don't know if we can clear this out with Blessing, Personal Misform, Moss Body, and then Shockwaving a couple times. Maybe that would work. But this puts us in like a really awkward spot. The Ichlids are just like such terrible units though. Maybe it does work. And that guarantees us the thing. And also I think Sorginas have more morale. They have 1 more morale. It's not very substantive. But if we bump this guy, we're more like, or actually we're guaranteed not to bump him. So it's just a matter of can we clear out 20 enemy Ichlids? Ugh. I really wish I knew the answer to that question a little bit better. Okay, took a little bit of a look at things, was trying to figure out how exactly movement works. It seems to be the case, based on what we read, that whoever moves fastest gets to the location first. And Therados has more movement speed. So this made the Basiljuan, which we were revisiting because we're really confident they could take it out, that made it a little bit of a non-starter. So we came back to the Sorgina, and I just don't think we can kill stuff with the spells. So we're switching to a Frostbrand, and this seems very, very janky. But our script is going to be Blessing, Personal Misform, Moss Body, Personal Regeneration, Quicken Self, and then just attack. as I understand, and if this understanding is wrong, the Sorgina is just going to die. As I understand it, we don't actually have to hit to trigger this effect. And so the Sorgina should be able to actually rout them fairly quickly just by attacking and probably missing. We get a very severe penalty for being underwater, even if we have... here, we could probably show it on this guy. This guy's attack skill, the underwater penalty is not that bad, actually. Is that because he is water breathing? There should be an underwater penalty as well here. Okay, so that's pretty nice. I thought we were in worse trouble. I thought the underwater penalty was much, much bigger, and apparently it's not. So the Sorgina should maybe actually feel a lot safer after that, because we're going to get effectively +2 on this, and then I guess -2. So we're going to have 14 defense. So we'll be able to dodge most of the attacks. And then every attack we have, it doesn't matter if it hits or not, although we'll have attack skill of 10, so we'll hit, I think, slightly more likely than often than not. But we're just going to hit the entire square with Frozen Flames. We have quickness, so we can hit the square twice a turn. And we're hoping that that's just good enough on top of us hopefully having a few turns worth of life from the fact that we have personal mistform reducing the damage to 1. We will regenerate 1 damage or 2 health a turn with personal regeneration. And hopefully we also have Moss Body reducing damage by 15. And so the combination of Moss Body and Mistform means that they have to really roll high to get some damage done. And if they do roll high and overcome our invulnerability and do 1 damage, then okay, they get us. But we'll regenerate it, and it will be reduced to 0, and then also the Moss Explosion as well. I'm hoping this is enough to take out 20 Eclipse. What I'm concerned about is these guys have nets. I don't know if the nets completely shut us down. The nets might completely shut us down, and this might be super punty. And maybe we take a look at nets. Okay, so we learned that the nets will just turbo cuck us, and we cannot get netted, we cannot attack, and so this has been a struggle of much consternation here. Nor can we really break out, because our Sorgina only has 9 strength, and you need to hit a really high strength roll to get out. So the net, if we get netted, we basically die. If we summon something, that thing can get in the way, and we can avoid getting netted. And so we kind of went back to the drawing board and looked at what we could summon. Especially because we can summon water power underwater, because now we're underwater, and we could summon a school of sharks, 10 of these little minnow guys. I didn't really think that this was that strong an idea, because they only have 2 HP. They just die quickly. And so we were like, okay, can't do that. We could summon lesser water elemental, but we have access to summon regular water elemental. And with 2 water gems, we can boost up to water 3, cast it, and then boost up to water 3 and cast it again. And I think that's going to be the plan. We're just getting in 2 water elementals, and we're asking them, yo, what's up? Can you beat this? And then, for good measure, we were thinking of not giving her the sword. We're going to give her the sword. As far as I can remember, the piece of equipment we lost that was a weapon, not that important. And so if they get through the water elementals, she will have a frost brand as well. And so I think she'll be able to handle it. This is, I think, as safe as we can go. We're leading off with Blessing, which has 0 fatigue cost, but will give us reinvigoration. And then we're going to summon water power. 20 fatigue, and then here's where the fatigue's going to really hit, is we're going to generate 100 fatigue, summoning the water elemental. We will have to prep it and then cast it, right? And then we will do it again. And I think that we have enough... I think we have enough reinvigoration that we won't die to our fatigue, because after that we will be knocked out. Let's double check that rule. Okay, so we checked it out, and it's not too bad. A unit receiving fatigue plus 200 receives direct damage instead. The received damage is 1/50th of the received fatigue. We are talking about taking an additional, 10 fatigue over. And so we're going to take 1 to 2 damage, because there's also a chance to take an additional damage. But we're basically going to take 1 damage. I don't think we take 1 damage a turn, and then we are unconscious when we're over 100 fatigue, at which point... our spells, we'll have to wait a couple turns before we can cast spells again, but The water elemental with 81 life that is going to be able to dodge most of their attacks, because we can pull up an Ixtilid. We can pull one of these guys up. They're really weak. They have 9 attack skills, so they're going to miss most of the time just in general. And when they do hit, they do 13 damage. The net effect is not going to work on someone who's size 7, so they'll waste all their nets. And then 13 damage, so average roll will be slightly over 13. We have no protection, but then it's cut in half because these guys are pierce resistant. I wonder if there's a way we could buff this guy. Probably not a very good one. And then also he's going to regenerate 12% of his life kind of a turn, so that's going to be pretty close. I think that's going to be like 9 life a turn, 9 or 10. And so if these guys don't hit them fast enough and don't get anything done, they're just going to get killed by the water elementals. And the water elementals 13 attack, and they have 4 attacks instead of this inky dinky one with the lower level, which only has 1. These 4 attacks, they are going to be at attack 13. This guy has defense 8, very likely to hit, not that likely to kill. Oh wait, they're doing 18 damage. Sorry, I was reading 13 attack. 18 damage is like enough that over 50% of the time will kill the Ixtilid. And so I actually feel pretty good about this, and maybe we could pull this one off. Alright, turn 46, and everything goes basically perfect, exactly the way we want it, and we get some new opportunities. So this is a spectacular turn for us. A lot of battles, a lot of things going on, and so let's get into it. First of all, research and construction does get completed. This is going to be pretty nice for us. The main idea is Legions of Steel, +3 prot on everyone, all worn armor parts. This will really bring up our Myru from the point where they're taking tons of damage per hit to taking much more marginal damage per hit. They go from like 9 armor to 12 or something like this. And they don't have helmets, but their heads don't get hit very often except by archers, this type of thing. But this also, to the extent that we are using our entire army as an anvil and our thugs are a hammer, this gives our thugs +3 protection without needing to target them specifically. And so this is pretty good for our strategy. Unfortunately, we killed off all of our gentles fighting Xibalba, or not fighting Xibalba, that were supposed to be fighting Xibalba, but okay. This is going to be useful for us. As far as other spells in here, not too much. Forge of the Ancients we probably are going to be looking to cast, and then we can start getting in on forging that gem costs of 10+. We're trying to keep to items that are 5+, or 5, because the gentle discount plus the hammer makes the item cost 1. With a 20% reduction, now we can start forging stuff that costs 10. We get a 20% reduction and then an additional 4 from the gentle plus the hammer. And so we construct stuff that costs 10 for 4. Proportionally, our discount is much smaller on more expensive items, and this kind of incentivizes us to build those more expensive items a little bit better. And Master Smith +1, kind of critical or critically important for us being able to forge some particularly like end tier goodies with our commander. Let's see if we can point something out. So I think like Ring of Sorcery, we need Astral 6, which we have on our Pretender, but the problem is we would not be able to forge this because the Pretender is an inept forger. We can equip an item to do it, but we would rather forge this, which is a catch-all Ring of Wizardry +1 on all paths, which really opens up everything in terms of forging. And basically, in order to forge this, because we only have 1 item slot, and we can only slot in 1 +1 astral item, on our Pretender, we basically would need to cast Forge of the Ancients. Golem Construction also is a good source of an Astral Commander / Thug, and never retreating from battle is particularly strong, so you can just chuck him in, like send him off on the loud car, and run him into places, and as long as they can't hurt him, he just kills everything eventually, or they just rout eventually, because he can't run away. So that's kind of what we cooked up here. And we're heading off to Conjuration 6. In particular, when we're sieging forts, as I understand it, send attacks, we will get this big bull if it succeeds in killing the person, assassinating the person in the province. We will get the bull if we are sieging a province. So we're going to use it pretty extensively, especially against Xibalba here coming up as we are sieging their provinces. And so, looking forward to that. Wish we could somehow get this one turn earlier, but there's just no way. Also, bunch of big summons, like Aethergate. And this is going to be really, really useful coming up, which we'll see why. But we're kind of going off on a little bit of an expeditionary mission where being able to dump huge amounts of gems per turn into useful summons is going to be really nice for us. So that's what we got going on there. We do get an Empowering in Blood here, and we have them blood hunting with their little thing. Oh my god, let's not kill them. Holy... So very often you will get an event where they get jumped by a bunch of peasants, and if they don't have bodyguards, you could. Yeah, we really do not want to get this guy killed because this is going to be our best blood hunter probably for a while. Meow. That's the loud car. Shout out. And then continuing on here, we do cast Hurricane, decreasing the income in Xibalba a little bit. This guy is crazy, by the way. I don't think he was building this before. Maybe I'm not kind of privy to this, but there's much construction going on in Mighty Pillars. While under pressure, he builds a fort. Now, to be fair, he maybe thinks that he's pushing us back here because he retook this, and he thought he was going to take Packwoods. We'll circle back to that. But this seems really optimistic, the level of construction he's applied here, because in the last, 10-ish turns... all he's done is, build forts and upgrade them. And he has, no troops. And I know to some extent he needs the fort to build the troops that he wants, and to get the mages and to start getting out the... Yeah, I mean, that's the crux of the issue, right? Is he needs more mages in order to do stuff to get his blood economy going, because he actually needs the scorpions and the bats kind of suck as units, but... I mean, I don't know. Maybe you just have to hope that it works, but and you're dead if it doesn't, but you're dead if you just try and build units and survive that way. Something like this. But he seems to be dumping a lot of gold in infrastructure, which I think is very optimistic. But I also not that experienced, so maybe he knows something I don't know. Okay, Awakened Vinemen. Oh, and we have the Cloud Trapeze into here, which, spoilers, we were successful here. This is, waking up and looking at this made me very, very happy, because this was a subject of much stress and consternation. I didn't know if we would be successful here. We are doing our script that we had set up before. We have the 4 water gems to execute it. I didn't know if this would work, and it looks like maybe we could have done it with 1 water elemental, but 2 is just uber safe. And these water elementals just do very nice work against the independent. Bop. And they don't even try and throw their net because the water elemental's too big. And so we see bop, bop. And so you see that 1 probably would have been enough. But okay, we summoned the other one too. And then... yeah, we get in. It's very nice that we can have Water 1 and have access to these level 3 water elementals by just spending extra gems. Very cool. We didn't even get bumped, so Theranos wasn't even going to try it this turn anyways, but they get routed. They decide, hey, that's too much. That's too much. And they start running away. So very nice for us. Unfortunately, don't pick up any items. We didn't actually even see the items on our guys. We just know that we punted the items some time ago. Maybe as time goes on, less items kind of stay. We do see this Ring of Levitation, but that's not one of the items we lost. So I probably just don't understand that system very well. But okay, success. Great success. Also, do summon more Draconians here. I think that we'll have them summon for 1 more turn and then kind of bring some more Draconians over here. We'll circle around to that, though, when we start talking about some of this. Do want to complain, want to file an official complaint. We had so much site searching here, and no magical sites in a forest, which tends to have more magical sites. And no magical sites whatsoever. Obscuro continues. Obscuro's like 0 for 12 or something like this. And he's a level 2 wizard. But he might as well be a level 0 wizard, because we've been paying him for some time and he has yet to discover a single, as far as I can remember, a single magical site. So, shout out to Obscuro. Ulm also doesn't find anything, but he was searching a site that already had been searched for level 1 water, so okay, he was just searching for the higher levels of water. And then we get some battles. We have... Let's go through kind of some of the neutral battles first. So we get a little bit of Yomi bumping to check and see what's in Tiash. But yet we see more stuff in Tiash, so I don't know how these got here or what exactly happened with that. But we're seeing Yomi intentionally... Yomi's the attacker here. And I do think he did not control this. I don't think these guys just got discovered. I don't know why the forces of Muspelheim are at 0, but yet there are a bunch here. That bemuses me, but I think Yomi's actually checking. And we've seen people checking with scouts from Yomi now, and we've seen it from Xibalba. And so starting to think that Yomi and Atlantis are probably the two stronger players in the lobby. Or maybe Lanka is also strong, but Lanka just doesn't have a really good response to Yomi. But also on this front, we thought that Yomi was just killing Tianqi. Tianqi manages to summon enough stuff in Forest of Long Nights and manages to slough off the enormous stack of Yomi. And things are looking actually not so good for Yomi. I don't know exactly where their stack of Shikomi is. I'm pretty sure they have more Shikomi than just this. They're just summoning it here. But I don't know where it exactly is, because they keep patrolling and keep killing our scouts. So it's a little bit difficult for us to keep tabs. But if Yomi loses this fort, this is kind of a huge punt, right? Because this is a really expensive piece of infrastructure. They could have spent it on units. And one of the reasons we thought that they were doing really well is because they decided to spend on this fort, and I was just like, okay, well, we don't need to sling them money if they have money for a fort, but not seeing any reinforcements heading either direction. And this is also a reason why Underhome was very useful to us, is because it gives us vision on all of this. And an eventual pathway there. Also, they didn't bump us, or they didn't even try and go in here. I'm sure Theranos is a little bit annoyed with us in general, and Theranos can see what we're doing. Theranos kind of spooks us because Theranos knows a lot. Theranos is going to know when we take this throne. Theranos knows when we've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. They know that we're, like, pushing Rus and Xibalba simultaneously. Actually, from their perspective, it looks like Xibalba's clapping us, because Xibalba beat us back in the Abyss and they beat us back here, but they don't know what happened in the other area first. So let's look at some of these Xibalba battles. We do have the Abyss. Do not give very much information. Unfortunate, they attack with pretty big squad, so I don't know why they would attack with a squad with no mages, but yeah, our guy just routes immediately. He's like, yo, bro, why would you ask me to do this? What's going on here? No mages. If we had come up this turn, we would have just completely clipped the 38 guys. But we're going to be coming up now with our squad. And expecting for the squad just to encounter PD. I really hope that it doesn't... So we have... I hope that it does not trigger gem usage if it's just the PD. We have our guys on conservative gem usage, but it's gonna, like... We might gem bait ourselves into 6 gem usage, but if they're patrolling, we want to use the gems. Really feels kind of bad, but we have this massive squad here. And we have it organized where we have the Bebrix guards and the heavy infantries. These guys are in front. The Myru warriors are in back. We have some Zots ready to fall down from the skies. And we also have these clockworks. Really do like this configuration here with the clockworks in back, where the clockworks, the clockworks are just there to catch. Let's bring this guy up. What are we doing there? The clockworks are just there to catch flyers, and they're on attack flyers. But the clockworks catch their dive bomb attack specifically, and then the Myru warriors can turn around maybe and go after them. That's also a reason why we've included some Beckride infantries with the Myru warriors, because we're expecting them to not... well, first of all here, let's actually include a few more. We're expecting them to not just push through to these guys and share squares with these guys in front, but instead maybe turn back around and need to deal with flyers. And if that's the case, we want them to have some shared squares at the very least. They're going to share them with these guys need to be on attack flyers. They're going to share them with the mechanical men as well, this type of thing, as well as with the massive group of Beck Rides. Now, the Beck Rides, they have sticks and stones and great clubs, but really low protection on the units from Xibalba, so these guys are kind of okay for us. And the furs here, they're going to go from 6 protection to 9. So that's +3 from 6 to 9, so 3, 6, 9. Damn, these guys is fine. And so that's going to be nice. We also would not want to have the Mouflins in this squad, but there just wasn't a good spot for us to put them. We don't want them to rout. And specifically the Mouflins, like, this is such a nice unit. The Tartalos are so nice because the upkeep is really low. You just have to take a ton of recruitment turns in advance. But, that's the wrong thing. But they get 2.5 siege strength, which the average human, this is a Beck Ride, so they have more strength. The average human only gets 1 siege strength. And so we have a bunch of free spawn, and so this entire army has 677 siege strength. This fort, we only need to have 200 more siege strength than they have siege defense to be able to bop it in 1 turn. And this is increasingly going to be kind of like the way we're looking at it, is we're trying to bop these forts in 1 turn. And something that's really good for that also is the enormous amounts we have spent 60 air gems summoning these Draconians. They are really high strength units. They have 6.5 siege strength. So we are going to be free spawning these guys. But the plan is to try and take Xibalba in 1 turn. And in order to do that, we need to beat their siege strength by more than 500. Which, maybe we can. Let's take a look at the other Xibalba battle. Or let's kind of circle, let's go for the climactic one. We do have, climactic one last. We do have also this here, which is the Atavi actually being useful because he didn't put any PD down. I'm starting to suspect that the Atavi might not be able to, 50 Atavi might not be able to jack up a decent amount of PD, but these guys have 1 PD. And the throw rocks, specifically when these guys lack helmets. This guy has an iron cap, but when these guys lack helmets, the throw rocks are going to be really, really effective. And I think they're going to kill this guy, because he doesn't have a helmet, if I recall correctly. Yeah, so he ends up dying to the throwing of the rocks, but we get this province easy, good dealsies, which is nice. There's also an event going on, a fertility cult. Shout out to fertility. But I don't really know where this event goes or what it does. We'll deal with it. This is kind of a knowledge check thing. But we're going to be heading off and probably attacking this province in 2 turns. That's going to be the kind of the plan for this squad. And then we have Packwoods. So he had this big squad in Gol Armad. I kind of believed him when he said that that squad would beat our squad that was in Packwoods. But what he didn't see was the reinforcements from Pomania and from Mammoth Grove. So then we get this battle, which, let's take a little bit of a look-see. We probably overkilled this a lot in terms of gem usage, but wanted to be safe rather than sorry. We have a lot of gems, and he had a lot of gems on his guys too, and I didn't know what he was planning. I don't know what this is about, other than, yeah, I don't know why he had this many gems, because he didn't actually use these gems. He had another mage with a bunch of gems too, yeah. But okay. We do cast our script, we summon some elementals, and then Howl is coming in, and we haven't really showed off Howl. Howl has actually been really effective for us. I don't know, I think these guys were on attack rear, and then they didn't really attack rear. You hate it when that happens. But okay, the guys are going forward, especially the undisciplined guys, and they're going towards the Scorpions. The Scorpions are blessed. There comes Howl, and some of the Scorpions are blessed. Where are the blessed Scorpions? This guy's sacred. Did they miss the bless on him? Yikes. Looks like they did, because he should have more strength than this from the bless. So he didn't get properly blessed. But we see their flying squad lands, and our flying squad goes off. I think I maybe set something up wrong by putting a guy in a corner or whatever. Oh, you know what? This was silly of me to... I really risked the... I think I put in the corner the Draconian leader, not even really respecting the fact that we would have flyers coming in. Huh. We do have some evocations coming in on the chaff. That is part of the PD, which is nice for us. And the Howl is going to end up being a really big issue for them. We also have the backline get bopped. One of the mages just get absolutely cucked. This is a cap-only mage. I think he had 2 of them in here. Yeah, he's got 2 cap-only mages, so I think they're only 1 recruitment turn. I forget exactly where in the UI here it says how much cap recruitment it is, but that's kind of what he has in the backline. The Scorpions are getting some damage down. The Elementals were gratuitous, but they do kind of well at soaking damage at the very least. And we have the Skeletons kind of actually jamming up the Draconians here that have dropped in on the backline, but the Wolves... this is what Howl does, is it summons wolves from a bunch of places. It's better in forest or mountain, and the wolves can come in and be very, very effective against the mage backline, as we will see. Bop, that's 10 damage. Oh, okay, 14 damage in on the wolf. We also have in the backlines here, just a scuffle between all the flyers, and some of our Beckrides had turned around because we had on attack closest, which works out okay because we have so much Sinos. But we maybe should have had attack rear on the Beckrides, but this actually works out, because so the Beckride heavy infantry just turn around and handle that. We also have a very big chunk of guys just defending the commanders. You can see a lot of these commanders are sharing squares with units, and so if they come in, they'll kind of eat a bunch of commander. But okay, we have this here going as well, and we have the wolves come in, kill a commander, and it's too many wolves here, and they're also jamming up the free spawn summon from this guy, so that's going to kill the commander. Commanders are gone, and the battle is going to be won, and nobody escapes, kind of courtesy of the flyers. Flyers are really good at preventing guys from escaping, like a little bit of an additional value for them. These guys can't just like walk away, because they just get flown on, so just an absolute massacre. We lose 47 units, primarily Draconians, which is unfortunate because that's one of our more valuable units, but that's the nature of flying into the backline. Often you lose a lot of guys with that, and we lose a good chunk of Sinos, but Sinos were the biggest chunk of what we had. The Sinos and the Draconians also are what do most of the damage. We also get to see what is doing a lot of the damage for him. The Sacred Scorpions should be a lot better than the regular Scorpions. These things kill 2 to 1, so they do considerably better than the regular Scorpions, but we do get them down. They have a lot of life. And so, okay, we also lost a Beckride champion. A little bit unfortunate, but we don't lose any commanders other than that, and he loses 3 mages. So that's good for us. And we are headed off to Gol Armad. We are bringing over this raiding squad with gelatinous cubes, which we haven't gotten to see in action yet. We are bringing in more Mouflins. The Mouflins, once they get to the road, should be able to hit Xibalba pretty quick. We'll just ditch the Beckride heavy infantry if we have to. And we have kind of a continuous stream of reinforcements heading down. And this is like, kind of like following through, I suppose. Like mechanically, physically, like if you continue to apply pressure after you've hit something, you like push it way further, right? Than if you just like stop on contact. And I think that kind of way of thinking about doing this is like useful, because eventually what he can do is he can just retreat. Not that he did, but you can retreat into your strength. And if you retreat and they have a really long supply line and they don't reinforce, you'll be able to send more and more reinforcements. They won't. We also see 6 Sacred Scorpions. I think there were 2 last turn, so he is summoning guys to try and stave this off. But okay. That's kind of like what we have going with Xibalba. We are pushing in, and we are also splitting up the squad. I think that we'll actually do this, because we just don't want the commander to get too cucked by himself. But we're splitting up the squad. We're sending these guys to just go after a little bit of a raid squad, probably send the Stone Grain Mountains afterwards, and then they can all link up at Xibalba in the end. And so looking to have a situation where our Atavi maybe picks off this province, we are going here with the army, and then the raiding squad, these guys either pick up this or this, but the hope is that we kind of pick up everything here. At the same time, we're applying pressure here. Incidentally, this is where his Pretender God is. We've been kind of a little bit concerned. Amazot Prime is in the Abyss, but the idea is he can't pivot forces where they're not needed, if they're needed in two places. And so he's going to have to decide what to do with his main army, which is in the Forests of Idun. He's going to have to decide where he wants it to go. If he commits it to fighting in the Abyss, then, you know, what we could do, well, we have a fight. If he starts moving it down, we could actually just move our army back. And then just assault the Abyss. Because we get so much siege strength, we can assault the Abyss and Forests of Idun very, very quickly, or even Mighty Pillars. Might even let the Citadel finish, the upgrade finish, just so we can have an upgraded fort there. Less valuable for us in the Abyss. Kind of would want one in Mighty Pillars. So something like this. And also, when we surface here, we have plans. The plans are, of course, the Mouflin. We have 40 Mouflin. Hopefully a good chunk of them survive. They get enough siege strength to completely siege the thing down in one go, and then we can use them to raid. And this is all off the back of us having a bunch of Tartalos early, right? And here, we can take a look. The amount of Tartalos we have, and have had for some time. We have 19 Tartalos. They have a small upkeep, but the Mouflin have no upkeep. I think Mouflin remain our most populated unit. Also, I think that... Where are the Mouflin? They have the biggest number next to them, I believe. 433. They really suck in battles because they make you rout, so you have to be a little bit careful with them. But they are going to be... They're great utility, but you can't just use mono Mouflin. I think also that's part of why he was afraid to attack Ripewoods. Because the number was so big, the number of units, but it was mostly Mouflin, so, like, not effective in battle. And then we have this massive mess of things that are going on, which is quite a bit of things. Let's take a look at the battles that were had. To the extent that there's interesting battles, like him taking out the PD in his fort, uninteresting. But we do have the Greater Wild battle. Oh, no, wait, this is also uninteresting. He just takes out some PD in the north section. It's Emmerich, specifically, that's somewhat interesting, but we get to see just kind of the strength of what we're working with here with this frontline army. We have these clockwork soldiers. We talked about mechanical men. Mechanical men have, like, 1 extra hit point. They have the same protection. I think they have extra attack and defense, but they also fatigue out. And they're not any better at, like, accomplishing the goal as acting as a sort of anvil. So we're gonna have the script from the Gentles in back here. We see the javelins come out. These guys are continuing with their script. The Equites kind of get caught on the horses, so that's probably gonna be bad for us, just generally speaking. Looks like the Myru are just getting through, and the Gentles jump the back line and kill everything. Bop. Yep, that's what they're supposed to do. And then they should rout as a consequence of this, and they do start routing, but we kill a bunch of stuff, especially because we have now the Gentles flying, and they have quickness, so they could just run after and bop everything. Especially this absolute insano dude who has multiple instances of quickness. Is it this guy? I think it's Basil Juan, who has the additional quickness. We could take a look here. Yeah, he's got heroic quickness, so... and I think we have enough heroic levels where he's not getting 1 additional attack per turn, but 2 additional attacks per turn, and this stacks with quickness for 3 additional attacks per turn, so these 2 attacks turn into 8 attacks. He might be our next prophet. He might be the chosen one after Baxty. I really don't like that he can get titled Basil Juan with the regular generation, because he's not a Basil Juan. That's a different unit type. But okay. What we're doing with them in regards to Airmore is we're crashing down with our big force, but also you see a bunch of other guys moving. We're expecting them to not just be patrolling with an enormous thing. We're moving in hundreds of Mouflin, or like 100 Mouflin. And the idea here is very simple. We need we need to overcome their siege strength by 600. This entire army has 433 siege strength. These additional 80 Mouflins, another 200 siege strength. And then we have another squad of Mouflins coming in here. This is an additional loud car outside, but also 99 siege strength. So that might be enough to crack it solo bolo. I think we also have coming in this guy who's 5 siege strength, and this army, little as it is 69 siege strength, because it's got a ton of these Myra warriors, right, who have a decent amount of siege strength per guy. So that's kind of what we have for Airmore. And just trying to finish Airmore off, just was thinking about it, like, they get too much gold just from this one province per turn to just be like a thorn in our side. We need to eliminate them. And then we have the battles with the other guy. Actually, these were just kind of nothing burger battles. Oh, no, wait. There was this battle in Nom, where he has 0 PD. So this guy either dumps like 50 PD or he has 0, basically. But that'll do it with the wolves. That'll do. And then we notice. Okay, we know this has 1 PD. We're gonna come back here, and try and link up to here. But we have an idea here, and the idea is, this is very obvious what this is for. This is a group of warriors, just warriors, who don't really have enough strength to do much. These guys have spears. The spears are like 13 damage. What we're going to do is we're going to drop our Pretender God on them. And we maybe even pull back from our current script, which is kind of a big gem investment. But we're going to drop our Pretender on them. We're going to cast Power of the Spheres, boost all of our magical paths. Strength of Gaia, which boosts our nature magic. It also gives us Bark Skin, but that's not why we're doing it. And then we're going to cast Foul Vapors. It's going to poison everyone. Following that, Summon Earth Power, which will give us some Reinvigoration, and some Earth bonus, and also Summon an Earth Elemental. Big idea here behind the Earth Elementals, we're trying to protect what's behind us, which is going to be a Sorgina. Sorgina is going to be coming in, and she's going to be casting Blessing on herself, Summon Air Elemental, Personal Poison Resistance, so we don't die to our own Foul Vapors, Personal Stone Skin, Moss Body. She's just trying to stay alive. She's going to be able to construct a lab next turn. Our Pretender God's going to be able to construct a temple or search, probably site search. And then we can actually just operate out of this pretty easily. We also recruited a little bit of PD, up to 7, so we would get an additional Jade Maiden. These are poison resistant, which is nice. And so hoping that between the Air Elemental, the Earth Elemental, and the 7 PD, that we can keep the units, the 50 units, from getting onto the Sorgina. Because we don't want them to get onto the Sorgina. But once that is all said and done, they should die to the Foul Vapors and also just the Monolith, which has 30 protection. I think that, in fact, we could probably take a look at one of these. The 16 damage, they are basically never going to hurt our 30 protection guy, who will get 2 more protection, because he will get 2 more natural protection as his Earth path goes up by 2. They have to overcome 33, and this is without him casting Stone Skin or Iron Skin, which is likely to do just off script. And so they basically have no chance of killing this guy, and we should be able to just stick in here and be really, really obnoxious, because now he has to fight on 2 fronts, and pretty sure that this army is moving up. It decided to ignore Iron Peaks. I don't know what that's about. I suppose he thought that he could get here 1 turn faster, and that time was of the essence, otherwise he loses this army. I also don't understand. I feel so confused. I could have sworn that this was Skin Shifters and Berserkers only, and we had this discussion last turn, but there's a bunch of warriors, and they've been attritioning off quite a bit. Oh, actually there's 180. They haven't been attritioning. 180's a lot. Are we running into it here? We are casting Legions of Steel and Howl to try and help us out here if we do have a pitched battle. We're thinking that we don't have a pitched battle here, and what we have is just to fight against the PD here, but we've seen Roos show a massive PD dump and also a huge patrol. And so it's possible that he does this. He hasn't seen us use this Draconians, but he can see that they're there on the map, I think, because Draconians are quite large. Maybe he can't see the Draconians. I wish I knew what message they were getting, but this is perhaps another strength of the Mouflins. The Mouflins obscure what's there. Visually, I don't think he can see the Draconians, actually. The taller units tend to pop out more, and the smaller ones tend to be concealed. The Mouflins are size 5. The Draconians should be in the script of what's there, but maybe he doesn't respect it. I think he just sits down in the fort and stays there, and that we get in there and we have a ton of siege strength with this army. It has 621 siege strength, and we get that. And then we can choose to assault, or we can choose to wait a couple turns. And by that I mean 2 turns, or wait an additional turn, just preach there, or something like this. Wait for this spell, send attacks, which will give us assassinations. We have not seen him using any bodyguards whatsoever, and so sending several assassins to, the turn that we assault the fort can probably really jack up what he's doing. And this is also why we've left the Sorgina behind, because we're going to need her to cast that. Actually, this is going to be an argument for us recruiting more Sorginas, but also next turn flying some Sorginas to Pelea, because from there we can, or we should be able to, from Pelea, range this with the summon attacks, and do it like 3 or 4 times or something like this. We're probably going to need more air gems. We're going to need to see if we can secure some air gems in a trade next turn, I suppose. But that's kind of what we got going on here. Also, he just hasn't been assigning much PD in some places. We're trying to abuse that with this guy. He might die. There's a good chance that this just doesn't work and this guy dies. We hope that this guy just flees and has a place to retreat to in the Verdant Steppes if this fails. Because he's still useful in some ways. He's useful for patrolling and this type of thing. But if we could just nab this, that would also be nice. And that's kind of what we have going on here. Also moving a little bit of troops on over, some cave cows. This supply line is extraordinarily long, though, so it's really hard for us to reinforce from down below. But if we drop here, a bit of a point of emphasis we were talking about earlier is we are finishing Conjuration 6 in 2 turns. We drop here this turn. Next turn, we build the lab. The following turn, and there's, by the way, no follow-up, right? He doesn't have a force here, so if we drop it here, I guess if he moves out this turn, we maybe have to worry about something, but this is just a bunch of Chud warriors too. They're just a bunch of Chuds. And so we drop in here, and then by the time he can send anyone, we will have gotten 1 to 2 turns of being able to cast like these level 6 spells. Stuff like, you know, Troll King's Court. We are forging also an item so that we can cast, Contact Naiad in this province with the Sorgina. So the Sorgina is probably going to contact Naiad because she is our 2 water Sorgina, and we'll go up to 3 with the water jacket. And then we will also, what will we... Oh, by the time we research this, we'll also have access to all this with our Pretender, and probably going for Aether Gate, which will give us these Aether Warriors that are... Everyone's poison resistant, so we can continue to defend this place with Foul Vapors. And then we can contact Lamia Queen, who I think is also poison resistant and has regeneration. And we are summoning mages who can, in turn, summon more guys. And so the limit is going to be... The limiting factor is going to be gems. And... we have plenty of gems to just summon tons and tons of units and just bury him under it. And so this is going to be an issue for him. A big part of why we're able to do this and why we feel comfortable dropping our Pretender is not just the fact that he doesn't have the skin shifters here. These are cap only, the skin shifters, so not much reason for them to be down here. But there's also only 1 Dominion strength. And this will give our Pretender minus 10% life, and also he won't have access to his Bless unless it's within our own Dominion. But he spreads Dominion really well, and so we should get access to this Bless relatively soon after. Not that it's super useful for him, but we would like the reinvigoration on him. That way he can kind of, Oonga Boonga, Electric Boogaloo. But this, I think, is... I'm excited to see how this turns out. This also somehow might be a punt, but I don't see a way in which we lose this. I think he just thinks that there's nothing defending this, which right now there is nothing defending this. It's on 1 PD on the turn he's watching. He doesn't get to see our PD increase, our PD dump here. So as far as he's concerned, it's 1 PD and it's just got a couple burbs. But as far as we're concerned, there's a god here by the time he gets anything done. So not expecting... It would be a crazy read from him to be somehow like teleporting in a bunch of guys that can somehow beat the Pretender God. I just don't think that Roos has that kind of capability from like what we've seen, both in terms of the nation and also the way this guy is playing. So I think we're pretty safe to like open up this front. And also, we would love to get some of these Pegasus riders with our Bless too. That would work out really well for us. And so a little bit surprised to not see him have taken this yet. And I'm thinking that, I mean, we see Roos. It's a bunch of Killer Mantises. These units are useless. And Chud Berserkers. These units are useful. These are the terrifying ones. We see this. Chud Warriors. Chud Warriors here. We're not really scared of anything except for mages, so we probably just try and pick the outskirts. I don't know if he's recruiting from here and here, but here's the problem with like dumping a bunch of PD is like you can't force them to walk onto the PD when they don't want to. We know there's a massive PD dump here. We know there's a massive PD dump here. To be fair, I like the PD dump here and here a little bit more. We know that there's also a massive PD dump here, but he didn't leave any PD in the backlines, and so we were able to get information from our wolf, and then from that information we're able to know that we're about to like gimp a 50 stack for just a few gems, and then just implant this cancerous exclave inside of his territory and force him to come up with answers to difficult questions. Like, does he turn this army around? Probably not. And then, okay, how are you going to do with Chud Warriors and a few Mantis? I think this is just really, really bad for him. But you know who sees it? Theranos. So Theranos knows that we're, like, kind of popping off, and if Theranos has a bunch of scouts, it's going to be annoying. We haven't seen a single scout from Theranos, though. So we haven't caught many scouts. We've been patrolling a whole bunch. We've caught, like, 1 Xibalban scout. I think we've caught 2 Lonkin scouts. And we've also caught a couple Airmore scouts / spies, assassins. They have a special unit. But other than that, we're not catching a lot, and we're trying to keep information from other people, because this is an example where if we did not have this information that this guy was doing this, we wouldn't be able to just wipe out a 50 stack and just implant this here. A little bit unfortunate we don't get to search here with our Pretender God, but okay, we're getting to bop a 50 stack before it becomes an issue. And I think that that's a little bit better, and I think Roos is going to be kind of scrambling to figure things out. We know that his Pretender God's down here, though. Or it, like, has to be. Yeah, his Pretender God's in Troll Canyons. So that's going to be a bit of a thing. Also, Naiad does have Gift of Water Breathing, 120. So we can use the Naiad that we summoned to go after these provinces as well, and even raid around, although we have to be careful because she loses 10% of her max health every turn she's out of her home province. So a little bit of a heavy restriction, but she can also cast Foul Vapors, so she can hold down this like Foul Vapors location pretty well, and I don't think, if we have a decent enough frontline, I don't think Roos has an answer to Foul Vapors at this juncture. He doesn't have nature, or he does have nature magic, so he can cast Poison Resistance. I guess we'll see, but we want to try and draw out the mages from here. Don't want to just like try and kill 20, 30 mages all at once, because they're just going to summon a bunch of elementals or do a bunch of stuff, and it's going to be rough. But to the extent that we can pull out mages by denying exterior resources, this is going to be nice. Like, every turn he has to walk out with the mages is less research, and it gives us an opportunity to actually see what's going on. and see what mages he has. To some extent, this is a concern with Xibalba, but I think if we can siege it down in one turn, by the looks of it, that maybe we want to do that. But also, maybe we will just attack it, get the occupation, and then walk back in the same way we did with the Abyss. Kind of have that little bit of flexibility. It really depends what he does with this. Wherever he puts this army, we will push more aggressively in the other spot, and be a little bit more passive. If he brings it over here and patrols out, then I guess he's a baller, and we actually have a battle that's maybe going to be close. But I think that that's a little bit unlikely. He might sally out from the Abyss and crack down with in the Forest of Idun here. But I kind of think he won't, but we'll see. Yeah. From a macro perspective, the thing we're most concerned about is a coalition. I think we're somewhat safe from Atlantis. If Atlantis is leading us on with their trustworthiness, they're doing a spectacular job, because just kind of around every turn they seem both friendly and trustworthy, although we're not necessarily that trusting, because we try and think of the ways we can lose, which is getting coalitioned at this point, I think. We are concerned about Therados, but Therados just generally seems a little bit aggro. And I don't know if Therados is really wanting to bury the hatchet with Atlantis to go against us, and so we have this block where Therados and Atlantis are fighting. And I think we've talked about this a little bit, but I think it's worth it to kind of keep your eye on the ball in terms of what's going on in a macro sense and not just who you're fighting. We're fighting 3 people right now, although one of them's not really... Well, one of them's an AI, so they're not even a person, but that's Aramor. But we're fighting Roos in Xibalba, and that's going pretty well. And the rest of the players on the map, if they all unite against us, that would be bad for us. But that's Yomi, Lanka, Muspelheim, and Tianxi. I think at the very least they're going to be okay fighting each other. We don't really have a lot of frontage with Yomi, and so I think Yomi doesn't have a lot of incentive to fight us, and we also slung him quite a bit of stuff. And that doesn't make it so that they're not allowed to fight us, but I think it makes us less likely that they're interested in fighting us. Although they did ask for naps with other people. I think he has to get a nap with both, Tianxi and Lanka, and that doesn't seem to be what's going on, because provinces are being traded. There was a battle here. We didn't get to see how it went, but this is not frozen over, so it's not the case that he just left, and he, two Daoni fled to Lys, and they're going to get absolutely slaughtered. And so, as long as these guys keep fighting, and their progress is slower than our progress, we're going to find ourselves in a really good spot. We have close to 50 provinces. I think the next biggest person has like 28. And so we're at the point where we can conduct 2 wars at once. And if we scoop up most of Roos and most of Xibalba, then we will have another like 30 provinces, and we'll be up to like 80 provinces, which is close to, it's not quite half the provinces. I think it's like 40% of the total provinces. But at that juncture, we'll be extraordinarily strong. Again, we've mentioned it a couple times before, the person who can see everything we're doing is Therados. So they are the most concerning, and if we need to turn on anyone, it's probably Therados. Currently, we do have naps with a lot of the other guys, and so we'll have a little bit of a heads up. But in terms of the people we'd be wanting to break nap with, it'd probably be Therados. Also, the Hall of Fame, Bazahuan and Berea have made it up there. Shout out to Paxi, the one who couldn't make it, the one who we just threw to his death like Denethor through Faramir. But we have the top 3 spots right now, and I think that I would not be shocked if this is one of the ones that's going to die real soon here, because he's trapped behind enemy lines. So things are going pretty well. Excited for the next turn. I do think that's going to be in a new episode, though, and we will see how well we can produce this exclave summons idea. This is really... we would not be doing this if we weren't getting Conjuration 6 upcoming pretty soon here. Or maybe we would just do it, build a lab, and then teleport back out. Because we need to be able to plant in deep enough to really make this stick. But it's also very comforting that we're seeing Mantis. If Mantis are his best thing that he could throw at us, that's spectacular for us. In terms of what he's panic summoning. we'll just be in really good shape. Roos has a lot of really good national summons. He just might not be there yet with his research. So, yeah, I think that'll be turn for us. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, feel free to YouTube algorithm thing and etc. And other than that, have a good one.